Thank you, Eric. It's a pleasure to be on your 10th anniversary, if I'm not mistaken, of the Chennai Storytelling Festival. An honor. I was there when Chennai Storytelling Festival kick-started 10 years back, and I'm happy to be here back again. I'm Usha Venkatraman. I'm the founder of Mumbai Storyteller Society, as well as the festival director of Gatha, Mumbai Storytelling Festival, which just concluded on Sunday last, 19th of February. So here I am with a favorite topic of mine. Here I would like to quote an African proverb which says, "Until the story of the hunt is told by the lion, the tale of the hunt will always glorify the hunter." Here's to strong women rising together. Today, I'll be sharing two Indic tales through a feminist lens. My stories describe the Indian way of life through the eyes of two highly talented, individualistic women. Their recollections mirror a social universe that no longer exists today, that has been dissolved in the mainstream of modernization and urbanization. Shurpanaka and Chitrangada's story is left to us in ancient lore and cautionary tales about the limits of women's empowerment. The stories capture the zeitgeist of ancient India and how these two courageous women challenged tradition and against the social prevailing backdrop. Words are our primary agent of expression. So says Christine C. Keating in her essay Unearthing the Goddess Within. We were given these characters of Shurpanaka, Sita, Mandodari, Ahalya, Shabari, and Chitrangada with their beauty and flaws by men. In a post Me Too world, we've been trying to imagine new characters and rethink existing ones. And in Indian literature, there has been a resurgence of feminist retellings of myths, especially in Indian mythology. Today, you can be either an observer or a participant. This is between you and me and the fence post. So I will begin with a song, a lullaby. हेरी सकी मंगल गाओरी, धरती अंबर सजाओरी, उतरेगी आज मेरी पी की सवारी। हर कोई काजल लाओरी, मोहे काला टीका लगाओरी, उनकी छब से दिखूं मैं तो प्यारी। लक्ष्मी जीवारो नजर उतारो, आज मेरे पिया घर आवेंगे, आज मेरे पिया घर आवेंगे। छोक पुरावो माठी रंगाओ, आज मेरे पिया घर आवेंगे। खबर सुनाऊं जो, खुशी ये बताऊं जो, आज मेरे पिया घर आवेंगे, आज मेरे पिया घर आवेंगे। Have you ever had a wound, a little bruise, a cut, a scab that you simply cannot look away from. The way it changes color, purple, red, green, and oh, how it itches on your skin and in your mind. Shurpanaka's mind couldn't stop itching, churning either. They haunted her, just as it haunted me. As I was researching and reflecting on the story of Shurpanaka during the pandemic, I also reflected on my own wounds and it took me down the rabbit hole. I enrolled myself in a narrative therapy, a 10-week narrative therapy. Losing my daughter in 1988 to viral encephalitis helped me dig deep within. Incidentally, the one question that I had to answer was what is present, not visible, but implicit? I drew an iceberg, and at the top was anger, pain, betrayal. And as I dived deep below, I met hurt, despair. I peeled the layers through the process of alternate narratives, anguish, restlessness, longing, love, powerlessness, and something intangible. The landscape kept shifting, ever so slightly every week. Tectonic plates were moving. I started having a conversation with myself, became a witness, and rewrote my narrative. I realized that aha moment that my anger stemmed from deep grief. Shurpanaka, the queen of Dandakaranya, for me is the ultimate embodiment of sheer indestructible grit, determination, and strength. We are all aware of Ramayana and its familiar contours. Shurpanaka is one of the most important characters in the epic Ramayana. Indeed, the bard Valmiki says, comes close to claiming that if there had been no Shurpanaka or Kaikeyi, there would be no Ramayana. Her story. The youngest child of Rishi Vishrava and his second wife Kaikesi, Shurpanaka was given the name of Meenakshi, the beautiful fish-shaped eyed Meenakshi. As Shurpanaka grew up to be a beautiful woman of surpassing beauty, she chose to marry a man of her choice, Dushtabuddhi. He was the prince of the Kalkeya Danava clan. And this was actually a vassal state of Ravana's. After marriage, Shurpanaka lived in Jambudvip with Dushtabuddhi and loved her husband to no end. She was in love with him. Her married life was blissful and very happy. She used to adorn herself with shringar, wearing her ornaments, kajal in her eyes, and kasturi in the parting of her hair. Dushtabuddhi was not only good looking, but also a learned, skilled man, a nipuna. They had a son together and they named him Shambhri. This marital idyll did not last very long. Dushtabuddhi, who was a minister in Ravana's court, was very intelligent. Ravana saw him as a threat, the 10-headed demon king of Lanka, Ravana. He thought Dushtabuddhi was competition and had him killed. This sent Shurpanaka over the edge. Her world came crashing down, grief stricken at losing her husband. To her own brother Ravana, Shurpanaka was helpless, hapless, vulnerable, powerless, defenseless. She looked at her slain husband, and the fire of revenge consumed her, and a diabolic plan to bring down her brother took shape, and she fled towards Dandakaranya, the dreaded rainforest of southern India. And this Dandakaranya forest today is a part of Orissa, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, that side. Shurpanaka became a walking volcano, a stormy sea of grief. Revenge was her motto now. Pratishod. She had an agenda. Her agenda was to meet Rama, the scion of the Ikshvaku clan. It needed someone with divine powers to kill Ravana. Accordingly, she orchestrated her encounter with Rama in the beautiful Panchavati. Donned the garb of a womb femme fatale, the kidnapping of Sita by Ravana and the resulting great war of Lanka between Rama and Ravana is well known by us, all with the sole intention of having her brother killed. Ravana was decimated, his army was eviscerated. Shurpanaka should have been happy, right? She wasn't. Now I invite you to fast forward to a time when Sita met Shurpanaka years later in the Bard Valmiki's ashram, a face off between the two women. It was evening time. Picture this. The birds were flying in rows and were returning to their nests, filling the forest with their clamor. Herds of deer were getting ready for a moonlight excursion in the forest, shedding their daytime lethargy. In the beautiful forest hamlet surrounded by garden, trees, shrubs, flowers, under a berry tree, Sita found Shurpanaka full of bitterness, nursing her wounds, simmering with rage. Her anger had not abated. Sita smiled and offered Shurpanaka a berry. Shurpanaka, what happens to wounds? Time has passed. Do you want it to heal or for it to fester? Why trap yourself in your own victimhood? Who loses? Only you. Let's enjoy nature. To truly love, it is to let go, my friend. But Shurpanaka, her desolate, forlorn eyes looked at Sita, filled with sorrow. And Sita continued in her gentle voice, let me tell you a story. Once a long time ago, that I can remember, there lived two brothers. One was called Sorrow and the other was Grief. Woeful and sad, the brothers walked up and down their gloomy valley. They never looked up. At the top of the hill, there lived two sisters, Joy and Delight. They were bright, happy, and their days was filled with sunshine. But they knew something was missing in their life. Their life was incomplete. Sita saw Shurpanaka nodding. I guess you know what happened next, right, Shurpanaka? Asked Sita. One day the brothers met the sisters. Sorrow fell instantly in love with Delight and vice versa. Grief and Joy too fell in love. They could not live apart from each other. Lived happily for many years, and when it was time to pass on, they died at the same time. They were inseparable in death too. It is the same with life and death, Shurpanaka. And can death take away the bonds built over many lifetimes? Think about it. What would life be worth if there were no death? Who would enjoy the sun if there were no rain? Who would yearn for day if there was no night? There was a gentle breeze blowing. Sita turned to Shurpanaka, held her hand, and said, cry, heart, but never break. Let your tears of grief and sadness begin a new life. This was the moment, you could say, an epiphany. And the walls around Shurpanaka shattered. She felt light, completely light. She picked up the berry that Sita offered her. It was indeed sweet, sweeter than any lover's impatient, lustful gaze. She ate another berry and smiled. Now I'll race you to the river, she shouted at Sita as she ran for the stream. Shurpanaka giggled like a young girl as she waded into the waters. Once again she felt beautiful. Shurpanaka had set herself free. So, my friends, I now invite you to think about this story and what did this story stir in you? Did it raise any questions? Sometimes we are inside the storm. We are stuck in a horrific circumstance that is not our fault, unable to get out of it. And then there is a trigger or somebody else enters our life. So now I would request before we go into breakout rooms, I would just suggest the two prompts that I want you to think about. What did these stories bring up for you? If you're comfortable, like I said, it's between you and me and the fence post here. Think of a process of churning you went through and share your experience. Has it helped you? I'll repeat the questions. What did this story of Shurpanaka bring up for you? If you're comfortable, think of a process of churning you went through and share your experience. I would like to share slide. So just a moment till you think about it. Sorry. Yeah, this is a slide show which I was helped by Shalini and Hema from Mumbai Storyteller Society. Shurpanaka, an artist's impression of the beautiful fish-eyed Shurpanaka. And this is in Panchavati when she is disfigured. I also have here Rumi's Guest House, the poem, which we can bring it out in the end. So I would like you to reflect and get into breakout rooms and would love to hear from you. I can see Aparna Atreya. So nice to see some familiar faces. And I would request Eric to help me to put you in breakout rooms.
Yes. Now, usually we just put people in breakout rooms if they have their camera on, or if they say to us now, I can't turn on my camera because of bandwidth reason, but I'd like to go into a breakout room. So is there anybody who would like to turn your camera on now, or who would like to go into a breakout room even with your camera off? Okay, so just give me a minute. I'll put the people who have their cameras on into rooms. Just a moment.
Aparna says, do put me in the breakout room, Eric.
Oh, good, good. Even though camera is off?
Yes.
Okay.
Aarti Punjabi also says, include me. So, Aarti, what is your handle here?
That's RT Punjabi.
That's right. Okay, there are more people entering the. So let me repeat my question, the prompts. What did this story about Shurpanaka bring up for you? If you're comfortable, then think of a process of churning you went through in your life. And if you would like, you can share your experience. And has it helped you? So, our topic is churning within and around. Sometimes in life, there are situations where we are stuck, and that is not our fault, but unable to get out of the storm.
Okay, I think I have everybody. Shall we send them? About how many minutes?
How many are you putting in the breakout rooms, Eric?
We have 6 rooms with 2 each.
Okay, so let's give them 10 minutes.
Very good.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
I didn't receive an invite.
Yeah, just one moment.
Thanks.
Hi, Ush.
Yep, you're gonna get your invite. Okay, I think everybody is gone. Yes, good. Okay, so we just have well, we have about 10 people listening to us and watching us.
Yeah, Shanti Rose says, please put me in a breakout room.
Oh, I thought I did.
Okay, you must have.
Well, no, I didn't. Uh, Here, I'll Shanti Rose, I'll just add you to one of the existing rooms. Okay. Okay, so now there's 7 people who are with us here in this room.
Okay.
Usha.
Okay,
Okay. I'm gonna stop recording.
sure. And my second story is about Chitrangada. Chitrangada, this story reminds me that how we should be grateful. So I would ask you at the end of the story to share something that you're grateful for, you know, because the story talks about the experience which made Chitrangada grateful. Now, Chitrangada is inspired and intrigued. I mean, the story is actually in the Mahabharata, in the epic, but Rabindranath Tagore gave new dimension to this story. You know, he made Chitrangada as a lyrical expression of love, illusion, and conquest, and one of the strongest gender statements ever made in Indian literature. So here we go with Chitrangada. As we know, Chitrangada was the princess of Manipur. She was a warrior princess, the daughter of King Chitravahana, and she got married to the great warrior Arjun, one of the Pandavas. Now, Chitrangada was raised by her father as a son. She was trained in siegecraft and statecraft, and she was well equipped to take over the responsibilities of the kingdom of Manipur. So she was almost brought up like a prince, fit to rule the land, and she was unparalleled in archery, warfare, governance. She used to dress up as a man and became the protector of her territory. The beautiful yet secluded kingdom of Manipur was fiercely guarded by her. While on a penance for 12 years, Arjuna visited Manipur. Chitrangada's story started the day she went into the forest for a hunt and saw Arjuna. While chasing a deer, Chitrangada came across Arjun lying on a bed of grass. She asked him to move aside, but he didn't, and she poked him with her spear, end of the spear, and he quickly sprang up. And that's when Chitrangada was rendered speechless, gobsmacked. For the first time in her life, she stood speechless and felt like a woman and knew a man stood before her. Instant chemistry. I'm sure many of us, if we are very honest, have experienced this. I have experienced it. There is that instant chemistry, a chemical, you know, uh, imbalance, or whatever you want to call it. Before she could gather her churning thoughts and respond, Arjuna had dismissed her. She stood there thinking, I thought he would challenge me to a duel, but he is mocking me. He doesn't think I am fit enough to fight with him. He probably thinks I'm a young boy and not worth the trouble. She was spurned, rejected by Arjuna, and Chitrangada was deeply hurt. She couldn't accept this refusal. Her yearning for Arjuna leads her to seek the blessings of the god of love, Madan. She begged the god of love to transform her. Madana grants her her wish, gives her exquisite beauty for 1 year, the weapon with which she thinks she can subjugate Arjuna. She gets a beautiful body, the most beautiful woman ever to exist. And Chitrangada does charm Arjuna, but with time she felt suffocated under this burden of borrowed beauty. She desired Arjuna without the trappings of a temporary identity. She eventually decides to shed her pseudo beauty and be herself. So, this is the internal dialogue that Chitrangada has with her own self. I'm not satisfied. I'm not excited with this new me. This unfamiliar self is not me, yet it is me. I cannot recognize myself. And Chitrangada was burning up with guilt. She hated herself. I, who spoke of loving Arjun and wanting him to love me back, I have deceived him, haven't I? And he accepted me in my beautiful form. Now I am angry, not only with myself, but also with Arjun. Worldly wise as Arjun, all it took him was a beautiful face, mesmerized by my form. Is that all I am worth? The churning was happening inside her. Then came the day when Arjuna heard about the real Chitrangada, the warrior princess of Manipur, the one who had the capability to be as compassionate as a mother to her subjects, and the one who would stand as an unbending shield to defend her subjects from the enemy. Arjuna was attracted to the real Chitrangada. When Chitrangada heard this, she was speechless. When Arjuna spoke about his admiration for that Chitrangada, my real self, the noble work that I was doing, that was the moment of epiphany, the aha moment that Shurpanaka faced in the beautiful orchard of Valmiki's ashram. Here, Chitrangada faced this aha moment, the life defining moment. Oh, I had lost myself in these multiple versions that had been created for others. I sifted through all these versions, through the churning, and finally found my true identity. The version that I loved myself with. Not the beautiful young woman that Madan had turned me into, but what I was born with, the warrior princess. I took pride in that self I identified. I prayed to Madan Dev to give me back my true self. I did not need the trappings of the beautiful face or the lovely body. I needed to be me again. Who am I? In conclusion, Arjuna welcomed Chitrangada in her uniqueness, as he was no more attracted to only the physical beauty, but was fascinated by her personality and qualities. Their marriage became a marriage of two equals based on mutual love and respect. And the story ends here. But what is important is the line that be what you wish to be. Remember to be who you are. Never change your identity for others. My biggest learning from this story was learning to be myself, to be who I am, one who is proud, whether I am male or female, I have male or female attributes, to move ahead in life. And the biggest learning was to be myself. This story is about self confidence, faith in oneself, your identity, and the awareness that one shouldn't change oneself for anybody or anybody. And this story resonated with me because I too had lost myself in the multiple versions that I had created for others: daughter, wife, mother, daughter in law, sister in law, friend. I sifted through all these versions, and through the internal churning that I went through, I'm 61 years old. So I have this is churning has been happening in the last 10 years. I finally found my true identity, the version that I loved myself with. Who am I? I wanted to take pride in who I am. I am a storyteller. And through my telling, I can bring transformation. I'm not going into the spiritual aspect of who am I, because I'm also spiritual, but the story about self confidence, faith in oneself, identity, and to not change, to be who you are. So, this is my story. We have 30 minutes left. I would ask, you don't have to get into a breakout room. I will ask each one of you again that what did this story bring in you, especially about the new dimension to this story, about gender statement and who are you? Did you sift through your layers to find out who you are? The pandemic has definitely taught us that. It has taught me to be rooted, to take pride in the fact that I'm Indian, I'm a storyteller from India, and proud of my heritage and culture and how I can bring about transformation through our own ancient lores. So I would request you to come up and share whether you peeled your layers and whether you would like to share. Aparna, I can see you. I would like to hear you.
Hey, hi, sorry. Sorry, I'm just in a place I can't switch my video on. Great story, Usha. Mm, okay, so what does the story resonate with me and how? I heard you say gratitude, and there is certainly a flavor of gratitude, but I think what really stood out for me is just being grounded to one's identity. And it is really about being able to, one, find our identity and acknowledge it, and more importantly, stay with it. Stay with what we, find ourselves to be. No matter what the external stimulus is, and we often find ourselves in environments where we might have to, be untrue to ourselves. Now, being untrue to ourselves is probably, we can keep growing, and I think that's what the story really sounds out to me. Identity grows, but she doesn't allow it, or she finds that being untrue is really not the answer. So that's how it spoke to me.
Thank you, Aparna. Yes, see, many of us, especially children in school, this thing to be part of the gang, the crowd, the popular crowd. Sometimes we change ourselves to blend with that. I found this story could be useful at many different levels. Anyway, I have Ramya Srinidhi here. Ramya, go ahead.
Um, Usha, first of all, loved your storytelling, and I was completely with you. And the visual narration, and especially, those wonderful words that you choose to express what you want to express, was making it so special for me. And I'm just listening, and I'm like wondering, where is the story taking? Where is Usha taking us with the story? And I'm listening, where is it taking me? But the nail was when you said different versions of us to the different versions that we have put up of ourselves to be able to cater to different people. So that was very big for me, and I'm still reflecting on that, because very recently I was going through this whole process of who is this me again, by the way, because the mother, the daughter-in-law, so many hats that we are trying to wear and trying to please and do the best in these roles. I feel just that myself is so lost. Even to be sitting here at this workshop, I'm trying to manage so many things at the background. And I had to literally come inside, I had to close the room. And just then my son knocked and he said, I want something. I'm always in that, I'm not here. I'm always in that, that junction of here or there. So I think that story I'm not able to answer for you right now. But that question of reflecting on the roles was something that I'm going to take back, and it's going to take me a while to do that reflection and probably find an answer. But thank you for that, Usha. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Ramya. Yes, Rebecca.
Hi, thanks for that. That was such a beautiful story, and I didn't know it, so that it's a real discovery. And there were lots of thoughts flying around as you were talking, and yeah, like Ramya was right there with her. And I was thinking that it's okay to have different identities, but not for other people. And it also, so it's fine, you're a mother. Well, in that moment you've got that energy of the mother, and then in another circumstance you're a storyteller, in another circumstance you're the boss of a company. Why not? But you're not doing it for other people. And another thought that I had was, yeah, like very young, I realized that when I was in love, and maybe my love was corresponded by, returned by another person, then suddenly all the other guys would fall in love with me too. And so I realized it had nothing to do with how I looked. It was how I was feeling. And same with friendships. I was like, oh, I just don't fit in. So when I got to university, I was like, I don't care. I don't need friends. I'm just going to enjoy my studies, because I picked Indonesian literature and poetry and stuff that I really loved. And I made so many friends. And I realized, again, it was how I was feeling. And so I think it's more about how we're feeling, that then we emanate this beauty, or this, something that people want. And then when you mentioned, the spirit, who am I? Not just the identities, but just who am I beyond all these identities. I think that also can shine through, and and it's contagious. I think maybe that's the thing, is that it's this contagion of joy and happiness and doing what you feel you want to be doing, you're meant to be doing. And that's everything that came to me from that princess, is that when she was, as you said yourself, she had all these different identities as well. She was a mother for her subjects, she was their defender, so she did have all those identities, but it was what made her tick, what made her, yeah. And it's yeah, so thank you very much. It's a really beautiful story. I'm really touched by it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Rebecca, because for me, I don't share my personal stories because, we have to be very supportive reflection, and it has to be within this, fence post. But to me, when I turned 53, 52, I got into healing, Reiki. And that is when I peeled all the layers. I'm no more mother, daughter-in-law, wife. I'm Usha. And who's Usha? Usha is a beautiful woman, and who has this, inside her. And that's when, like I tell friends now that I meet, I stopped being a cow because I was overweight. I never took care of myself. And I said, no. And I changed. I lost about 10 kilos, and I started looking beautiful. I didn't dress up for others. I started dressing up for myself. Even today, I dress up. I do that, and that's because I love myself. I so it's and that attracts people, exactly like you said. So I have young people coming and saying, I would like to take you out for dinner. So when it is from the other sex, and I tell my husband I'm going out for dinner, he said, go enjoy. And and it is just, and they discuss about their love life, and whether it is a divorce or whether it's something. And then I say, okay, so it is this persona which is so happy, which is drawing people. Also, if you're a healer, you tend to draw people towards you, they gravitate towards you. And I like this. I like that. It sometimes my daughter says, Mom, what are you doing? You're old. Don't you see that? I know sometimes because out of anger, she sees her mom looking lovely. So I think it is to discover us and just to be happy. And if you take good care of yourself, you do feel in the happy planet. Okay, sorry, Vibha. Vibha, go ahead. And then Sukrita.
Thank you. That was absolutely beautiful story. I loved hearing it. It really brought up stuff for me because being true to oneself is so important. And when I grew up, I was in my sister's shadow in a way. So I used to try and laugh when she laughed. I used to admire her and like trying to act like her. And it's only when I started being myself that I became happy and more joyful. And I think the story brought up things that when you're happy and you do things that you love and you're passionate about, I think that's what gives you an edge on beyond other people. And when you heal parts of yourself, like I healed that part, I was through art therapy and drama therapy, I healed parts of myself, and I think that maybe gave me more confidence. And I've always felt a bit different from everyone else, but I'm finding the similarities a lot these days as well too, which is really good. Yeah. Thanks a lot for the story.
Thank you. Thank you for your sharing. Sukrita?
Yes, Usha. Usha, first of all, I'd like to say that I'll thank you for sharing your personal experience through these stories and what it brought up for you, because I resonate with what you say, that you did the work, and you really discovered aspects of yourself. It's so beautiful, and thank you for sharing that. So what this beautiful telling brought about is the fact that like for me, before I got married, I was happy in doing my own thing, but I also realized I was doing a lot of things, so that I fit in, and there are to fit in. And I realized that, why am I doing this? Went on questioning myself. And then when I sort of found my husband to be, so he follows Ramana, and we did meditation, who am I? And we used to do, so we still do. And, so the whole quest of who am I is so beautiful. And it sort of evolves, it's this whole evolution that you go through in life, where you go through these phases, which also are meant to sort of transform you to the person you are today. So I see that even in this case, Chitrangada chose to be this beautiful woman for 1 year, but that made her realize that she didn't want to be that also. So, unless she had experienced this, she couldn't experience the other. So I find both aspects beautiful, and how through our experiences, we are molded to go on evolving as human beings. And I think that is beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Sukrita. I'm a follower of Ramana Maharishi myself.
Oh,
He
lovely.
came into my life when I lost my daughter first. Yes, this is a personal experience which I've recently started sharing, because I'm kind of weaving personal stories into traditional stories. I'm not yet there, but then it's beautiful. It's like a catharsis. I came from a small town, Jhansi, to Mumbai. I was one of the top schools, Bombay Scottish, and I'm a very traditional tam bram. So I would braid my hair, wear long skirts to school, socks up to the knee. But I went to this school where they had, the film stars, kids, and who's who. So I would start rolling down my socks, removing my bindi, and I couldn't do anything about my skirt. So I was bullied. People would stick chewing gum so that my skirt would go up when I sit. But I realized my strength, that I did not, it never brought me down to a stage where I went into a depression. No. So I think I had this innate strength. Not everyone is blessed with that innate strength. And then slowly, I also tried to be one with the Joneses. But today I see my friends from Bombay Scottish, and they all look up to me and say, wow, you are a storyteller. You're doing so many things. You look young. You don't look 61. But that never meant to me. So it's been my own evolution. So the layers, it helps you to find out who you are. Do I want to be like them? Similarly, in storytelling, uh, there was this burning ambition in me to perform in all the festivals in the world. And I've done somewhere, and I will. That ambition is still there. But I'm not going to change who I am. I learn structure. I know people tell me Indians are so loud. Why are they screaming? I was never, because maybe I'm a singer. I talk softly. Maybe it's over the years that I've been learning to talk, softly, enunciate. And content is very important for me, the kind of words I use in the story. And that comes with observation, by seeing people, and you evolve. And I know what I am today, so I'm not running behind anyone, nor am I aping anyone. And I want to help young storytellers to to be who they are. I can see everyone is out today there, but it's each one's journey, right? And stories like this, and such wonderful workshop space like this gives us that for us to reflect and find out who we want to be. Do we want to be what others seek in us? And even that person, are they really happy? What is so great about it? But that comes with age also. As you grow older, you can answer these. But when you're in your 20s and 30s, um, and there was one book which really changed my life, What Women Want. And one of that beautiful story about, some of you will know, it's about King Arthur. What is that? What is that? One of his knight
The Wedding
marries
of
this.
Gawain.
Yes, Sir Gawain,
Dragon.
and yeah, the Lothly. she says, what do women want? That's another story which has kind of impressed on me. Like, stories are there to help us, ask us, what do he want? So that's one of my favorite stories as well. So
What a
hopefully,
woman's heart's desire. What a
y-
woman's heart's desire.
yes, what does it desire?
Yeah.
So I just feel that stories can bring about that transformation. Like I always say, we are social activists, and we can bring about change through our stories. If you believe in the story, then only you can bring about that change in others. Anybody else would like to share? This is a safe space. Maybe we can ask Eric not to include this in the recording. He could edit it out. No
Well,
personal.
we are recording. Do you want to stop recording now?
No, if somebody is not feeling safe enough to voice or talk about it. We still have 10 minutes to go. So Eric, I wanted to share the slide about Rumi. It's another beautiful poem that Elissa Piermain told me. If I can share that, maybe I can share that.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, not this. Share screen. Yes. Okay. So this is the picture of, I told you, Chitrangada, where she's transformed herself into this beautiful young woman, and that is Arjuna. This is an artist's depiction. I would like to read the Guest House by Rumi, which sums up, I would say, the stories. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door, laughing, and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. I will let you reflect and absorb this. And this other slide that I want to share is again by Rumi. This is about death. These stories are answers that I'm seeking or have sought before. Your body is away from me, but there is a window open from my heart to yours. From this window, like the moon, I keep sending news secretly. I still commune with my daughter Samyukta, whom I lost in 1988. So this is another thing, communion without contact. Jiddu Krishnamurti, I was present when he would come and talk at the JJ School of Arts way back in the 70s. I would go with my mother. So this is another beautiful quote from Rumi. And this one, what the caterpillar calls the end of the world, the master calls it a butterfly. These slides were put together by Shalini Bajaj Surve, and I thank her. I'm absolutely I can't do anything related to software or any of this thing. But sometimes it helps. As a storyteller, I wouldn't want to use that contributes to carbon emission. I would rather tell stories. So those were the beautiful slides. Like I tell you, stories. And why does one gravitate towards these stories about strong women? Because my grandmother was a very strong woman. My mother was very strong. She empowered us. In a very conservative family, taught us to be financially independent, to voice our thoughts, and not just be a vassal or listen to somebody and do what your husband tells you. But these women in those ancient times challenged the tradition, and that is beautiful. Our epics, our ancient lores teach us so much that we don't have to really look beyond our own legends, epics, and stories. So, anybody would like to sum up? Yes, Rebecca.
Sorry, I just have a question. You mentioned, and somebody else mentioned, a book where there is these retellings of the myths from India.
Yeah, Kavita Kane. Kavita Kane, I'll put it down as an author.
Thanks.
And she has been doing retellings of myths. A lot of Indian authors have been retelling the myths through a feminist lens. Retelling Kaikeyi, retelling of Sita. Chitra Banerjee has done a beautiful version of Draupadi and Sita. So this is another name that I can drop in here. If somebody has names, please drop it in the chat box. Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni. I'm not getting her name.
And this last story of Chitrangada was from that book as well?
No, this I didn't.
Banerjee.
It is actually, if you Google it, Rebecca, you will get a synopsis of the story. The story is from Mahabharata, but Rabindranath Tagore's version, I mean, he gave it a different slant. And then, if some of you were at Gatha, you might have seen in the Abhinaya Katha, this beautiful Swapnokalpa did the version of Chitrangada. It's a beautiful rendition where a mother, Chitrangada, is talking to her son, and she tells him, I know you are Arjuna's son. I don't want you to be a great warrior like your father. You can be yourself. As I learned that my identity was not to be a beautiful young woman, but I liked the identity that I was a warrior princess who looked boyish. And I took pride in that. So it's like she's telling her son, and I loved that the rendition of this dance, Abhinaya Katha. So many dance. So it is actually a play. So it's many artists have done this play, and they have given their own interpretation. So if Debjani is here, if you could help Rebecca with the story of Chitrangada.
It is like a dance drama that Tagore has taken a lot of legends, and he transformed those legends into dance drama, weaving his own interpretation, his own songs, and there is a particular format of dancing they call Ravindra Nritya. It is not so. What Tagore does, he takes in the rasa from the classical ragas and classical formats, and then he uses it in a way that anybody, even a rickshaw puller, can follow it. So in Bengal, if you go, you can even see a layman humming a Tagore song. So many people compare, that's so easy. It's not because of that. It has a great philosophical depth taking from Upanishad, but why he made it, so that anybody, even a layman, will be able at least to get a sense of it. And Chitrangada's dance drama, there it is like it is also called Chitra. You can find a very English translation. It's named Chitra. You can just find it in Amazon. You get it, wherein Chitrangada is revealing her identity, that she is the warrior princess and Arjuna is now falling more in love with her, because knowing the fact that she is the woman with that unfettered spirit.
Thank you,
But
Devjani.
I must
With
say,
that, we come to the end of the session. I can see it is 5. Oh, somebody, Manjari, yes, I've told the story of Tulsi. I don't know whether it is there in my website, but you can get in touch with me and I can help you with that recording. They are all unlisted in my YouTube channel. Yes. Thank you,
Usha,
everybody. Thank you,
thank
Eric,
you,
for
Usha
this
ma'am. Thank you so
lovely
much.
space.
Thank you. Thank you
And
very
thank
much.
you
Thank you,
all.
Usha.
You.
That was
Thank
fabulous.
you.
Thank you, Usha.
Thank you.
Thank you, Usha. That
Thank
was a
you.
wonderful session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful session.